Welcome. We're about to dive into the incredible science of predicting disease outbreaks. I mean, this is a field that's totally changing the game for public health, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
So just think about that for a second, right? We check the weather forecast all the time to see if we need a coat or an umbrella. But what if? What if we could get that same kind of heads up for the flu, or for malaria, or even for the next big pandemic? It's a huge question, and believe it or not, the answer is getting closer and closer to yes.
Okay, so how in the world do you predict something you can't even see? To really get our heads around this, we've got to start with what we actually mean when we talk about disease forecasting. Right. So the key thing to get here is that this isn't some kind of crystal ball situation. It's serious science. Forecasters are looking at a ton of data. I'm talking everything from satellite images that show environmental changes to airline passenger data, even social media chatter about symptoms. They take all of that, feed it into these super complex computer models, and basically get a sneak peek into the future. And that, right there, is the whole point. This isn't just some interesting academic project. The entire goal is to give public health officials a fighting chance, to give them the warning they need to prepare, to get those resources in place, and to get ahead of that curve before an outbreak just explodes. And this all leads to a really fundamental shift in how we think about public health. It's all about moving from just reacting to a crisis after it hits to actually preventing it from happening in the first place. This chart just lays it out perfectly. You see, for decades, we've had disease surveillance. And don't get me wrong, it's super important, but it's reactive. It tells us what's happening right now, or more likely what was already happening a few days ago. By then, you're already behind, you're playing catch up. Forecasting? Well, forecasting flips the script. It's proactive. It gives us that precious advance warning, which means we can actually aim to prevent a crisis, not just manage one that's already burning. Okay, I know this can all sound a bit theoretical, so let's bring it down to earth and look at a powerful, real-world example of this stuff in action. Check this out. India has set this incredibly ambitious goal to completely wipe out malaria. I mean, think about that. In a country with more than 1.4 billion people. To even attempt that, you need more than just money. You need an absolutely brilliant strategy. And boom, they've put a date on it. This isn't just some fuzzy, far-off idea. 2030 is the deadline, and that target is driving a massive, data-first public health effort as we speak. So how are they going to do it? Well, this is where the forecasting comes in. They're using these models to pinpoint exactly which areas are at the highest risk, focusing their energy on states like Jharkhand and Odisha. It lets them be surgical, sending help exactly where it's needed most. And this quote just nails it. These forecasts aren't just reports that collect dust on a shelf. No way. They lead directly to action on the ground, helping decide when to spray for mosquitoes, where to hand out bed nets, which clinics need more medicine. It's a straight line from the data right to the front lines. Now, what's so cool about India's malaria fight is that it actually points to a much bigger idea. To really truly prevent outbreaks, you can't just look at one disease in isolation. You have to look at the whole picture. And that brings us to what's called the One Health frontline. So this is built on a really important concept called One Health. And the idea is actually pretty simple. You just can't protect people's health in a bubble. The health of humans, animals, and our environment, it's all tangled together. So many new diseases jump from animals to people, so you have to be watching that connection constantly. And the people doing this work, well, they're everywhere. You've got a huge chunk in government agencies, of course, but you also find them in big international organizations like the FAO, in university research labs, and even in the private sector. It's a global team effort, for sure. So what does it actually take to be one of these forecasters? It's this amazing mix of skills. You need that deep scientific brain for things like epidemiology, but you also have to be a tech whiz who can handle data modeling and bioinformatics. And maybe most important of all, you have to be a great collaborator, someone who can work with all sorts of different experts to solve these giant puzzles. So where is all this headed? Let's kind of tie it all together and look at what this really means for the future of keeping us all healthy. It really boils down to this elegant but incredibly powerful cycle. You analyze the data. You use that data to forecast where trouble might be brewing. That forecast lets you take proactive action. And the result? You save lives and you save precious resources. This is the new blueprint for prevention. And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing question to think about.
We're building the tools to literally see around the corner, to spot threats before they even arrive. So the real question for all of us is, with that incredible power, what's the next crisis we could stop, not just manage, but prevent before it even begins?